Hi, I'm Mike Jennings, and this is the Military Minute Podcast. Thanks for joining us. For today's topic, we're going to cover whether or not it's better to stay where you are in your career and work for one company for a long period of time, or whether it's better to move around, because there's arguments for both. Truth of the matter is, it's rare that I actually talk to somebody in working with them that says to me, well, my intention is actually to only work for a company for 6 to 12 months and I want to have 7 or 8 different jobs over the next 12 years. That isn't typically what people come in and say, even though that's typically what can happen on the extreme end of things. No, what I almost always hear from the people that I work with is that I'm looking for an organization that I can stay with for a long time, where I can be compensated well and have significant growth opportunities to be able to move within the organization. That's usually what I hear. Even about 50% of the time, I hear people say, I'm looking for a company that I can go to that this becomes my last move. And that's where I stay for the remainder of my career. So somewhere in the world is a balance between the two of those. Certainly, military veterans are known for their loyalty, and quite frankly, the fact that your minimum enlistment for active duty these days in almost every case is 4 years, and the service obligation for officers through their commissioning is almost 4 years for every type of commissioning program that there is. The idea that when you hire a military person, you get someone who has a sense of loyalty and fulfilling a commitment for a period of time. And those are certainly good things. As a matter of fact, the military system is actually designed to move you up over time. The process that has been put into place for military career ladders that goes back to literally between World War I and World War II is designed that officers and enlisted both are required to move up the career ladder, move up the rank and the pay ladder up to a certain point, and then as the services got smaller or they became stable in size, then you either have to move up or you have to move out. So if you're enlisted, this would be high year tenure for your service or for your rank. And if you're an officer, you can run into the same thing, particularly at the 03 and the 04 level, where you get to a certain point and you have to make a move. But ultimately, the process starts that there's this long-term career ladder with one company that all you have to do is follow this career ladder and you can grow a career to 20, 30 years and more. Well, the first part of this is that is not necessarily true in the civilian community, whether it's government contracting, or whether it's commercial industry. Career ladders that take a person from an entry point into the organization that have a defined growth path for someone that lasts 20 to 30 years simply does not exist. Combine that with employment for life as an operating philosophy within American business has been dead since the 1980s. That's really when all of this started. Up until that time, loyalty with one company was considered to be admirable, and it was rewarded by long-term careers and defined benefit pension plans that a person could take with them into retirement. But the 1980s changed all of that. The 1980s really brought balance back to the employer-employee relationship, because the financial hardships caused by the inflation of the 1970s, combined with the rapid expansion in the 1980s, led to restructuring, consolidations, sell-offs of companies to where that employment security could no longer be counted on from the employer, even large employers. So that created what we like to refer to nowadays as the free agent world. And so when it comes to free agency, the important thing to remember is that you have the option, as long as you have the option to stay where you are, you can stay in the place that you are right now and continue your growth, or you can move to another place that will satisfy your need and start you on another growth path at that particular organization. The real question is when, and what's a good rule of thumb to look at this? Because what you will find, the reality is that changing jobs typically does lead to an increase in pay of some point. In a competitive environment where employers are looking to hire people, they don't expect people to move from one company where they're doing well to their company without there being some kind of incentive in it, whether it's in the form of a sign-on bonus or whether it's some type of base pay raise, but there needs to be something in it for you. And if you remember from a previous episode we did, WIIFM is the only radio station people listen to. That's what's in it for me. And that's the way that it should be, because that's exactly what the companies look at. They're not hiring you because they love you and they just love hiring people. They're hiring you because of what's in it for them. So therein lies the balance. And as long as the balance is there between the employer and the employee, and that you're getting what you want from the opportunity that you're in, stability becomes very, very easy for people. However, that same stability can work against you, because as we just described, if you're going to change jobs, that creates the opportunity to increase your income and to be able to change into positions that you may not be able to get in your current employer. Staying with the current employer, if you have already been out and you've been in industry for a while, you realize that you're probably looking at 1, 2, 3, and in a really good year, 4% increases. But most of the time, most people are getting a 2 to 3% raise. And staying in a position for too long where you just find yourself getting 2 to 3% raises is ultimately the prescription for falling behind, at least as far as your compensation is concerned. So here's my recommendation to you on making the decision of when it's time to stay and when it's time to go. First is, every position that you accept should make you more valuable to your current employer and to other employers after 2 years of doing it. This is the key to successful free agency. Start with the position that you take. So the skills and the experiences that you develop should make the employer that you work for want to pay you more to retain you after you have done that for 2 years. And it should develop a skill or an ability or develop an experience set that should make you more attractive to other employers. 2, time does matter. Just like we have time and service requirements for promotions in the military, civilians, when they look at your career track, are going to look at your stability in employment. Any position that you have less than 2 years is going to be considered a negative, no matter what. And the further you go in your career, the length of time that you spend in each role is going to increase over time as you would expect it to. Because as you develop expertise and proficiency inside of what you're doing, there is an expectation that that should cause you to stay longer. 3, one promotion is usually a good rule of thumb before you make a move. Future employers, to judge your potential for growth, want to see that you experienced growth in the past. That doesn't mean that you necessarily moved positionally from one position to the next, but if you're a management track individual, that would be one of the things that they would be looking for. But if you're an individual contributor, they would be looking for some kind of change in grade where you moved from, maybe you were a level 1 service tech hired and you're leaving at a level 3 service tech. You want to show that you are promotable and that you have upside potential. So the key to those things is putting those in balance. But in your mind, the thing that you should do at least once a year is ask yourself the question, am I growing and am I progressing as quickly as I feel as like I ought to? And if the answer to that is yes, then you're in a good position where you are right now. If the answer to that is no, and you feel like that you want to be working on different things that you're currently not working on now, or you feel like you can't work on those particular things now that you have developed the proficiencies that you have, that's when it becomes good to look outside of your organization. It doesn't make the organization that you work for bad. It doesn't make you disloyal. What it does make you is smart about your career. And here's why. In the modern world, you would be amazed how effective it can be to be working for a company for a number of years, to go and take a higher level position or a position that gets you experiences that you can't get inside of your current organization, and then be rehired in the future back into your original organization at a significantly higher level because you took the time to go someplace else and gather experiences and qualifications that you could not get inside of the organization itself. And you end up having the best of all of the worlds that you're working in. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen that happen for the good. And sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't when you move on, because ultimately it won't just be your previous company that gives you opportunities. It's a host of other companies. And interestingly enough, the people that you work for, including the leaders that you work for, are making these same kinds of moves. I have a friend right now who has been growing in the management track as an officer from the time he came off of active duty in 2007, who, from the relationships that he built at his first job that he moved on from, he has worked for former leaders of his at that job at least 4 different companies over the last 17, 18 years since he worked for that organization. So as long as you're doing well and showing that you perform in the work that you do and you care about the organization, there is going to be a network of people that you have worked with and worked for in the past who's going to be interested in helping you in those opportunities. But if you happen to be among the few that can have that rapid riser path that goes from the entry point into the levels that you want to go inside of the same company, by all means do it, because there's a lot of benefit to that. But I will say that happens in fewer than 2% of the cases that are in industry today. Just don't let somebody else control your career. You make the decision. You be intentional about what you're looking for and how you want to move forward, and then you'll make the right decision at the right time. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Jennings. Have a great day and a great career.
Thanks for joining the Military Minute. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you're notified when a new episode is released. Is there a topic or conversation you want discussed here on the show? Send it to me at scott.cunningham@militaryminute.us.